this income gap only gets wider as a result of their solutions to the problem. And yet they're still out in the media, Lagarde and George Soros particularly, saying that this wealth inequality will cause major social upheaval. But their policies, their crony capitalist policies, are what's creating that problem in the first place.
And if you look at the Keystone Pipeline, I mean, regardless of what you think of the Keystone Pipeline, the Republicans have pushed this through 10 times now. They're trying to push it through the 10th time. Even when things hadn't changed, they didn't have a new Senate. They did it for the 9th time when they came back from the elections. The first thing they did once they got a Republican Senate was, of course, to push for the Trans-Pacific Partnership. If you look to see who's going to benefit from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, you'll know who owns the Republican Party lock, stock, and barrel. That's why they're not doing any of the stuff that they campaigned on. They're not stopping open immigration. They're not doing anything to defund Obamacare. They're not doing anything to investigate the illegal actions of Obama. No, they just want to deliver to their corporate masters. And from that standpoint, it doesn't even matter to know who the corporate masters are. It's just important that you know that these people are bought and sold. And the same thing is going on with the Trans-Pacific Partnership. But moving on to this other story, Paul, one of the ways, perhaps, that they won't have to go to their bug outs in New Zealand and elsewhere is if they can affect control of the population. And, of course, one of those things is Agenda 21. We're going to be talking to Rosa Koire in the third hour. An important part of that is controlling our movement, controlling transportation. And we had some really harrowing news this week, of course, reminding us that that's really what's been going on at airports and the TSA, as well as in Europe. We had these headlines where bank details are going to have to be handed over before you can fly on a plane in Europe. And then the TSA wants to look at your social media posts. We learned that the DEA 6 years ago was saying that they were going to look at automobile license plates at gun shows so they could put those people in a database as suspects. That was the DEA. That wasn't even the ATF. That was the DEA. So we look at what they're trying to do. It's not really about making the trains run on time, Paul, is it? It's really more like a Nazi control device. It's not an efficiency issue. It's really about controlling transportation.
Yeah, it's about embedding this idea that you have to get state permission to do anything. And if you've been a naughty boy, if you made a negative social media post about the government, then maybe your right to mobility, to travel, will be revoked. We saw that with this new TSA program, which for the moment they're considering for their pre-check program. So it will be opt-in on that basis. Of course, the threat is that it then could be expanded to every flyer, which is not only will they analyze your social media posts before designating you as being not a security threat and able to fly, they'll also analyze your purchase history. Mm-hmm. So this, I mean, there was a dystopian British TV show where to travel you had to replay the last week of your entire life via a chip embedded in your head that has a LifeLog camera which shows the security authorities every moment of the past week of your life. So that's the ultimate end of this in the ultimate dystopian nightmare scenario. But for the moment, that's what they're proposing. We've already had incidents where people are traveling from Canada to the United States where the TSA knows their prescription drug record, says that they have depression and may be a threat to the other passengers. So people have been harassed, interrogated over that. So it's all about creating this culture of having to get permission from the state based on your behavior or your ideological or political viewpoints.
And if you think that that's science fiction, let's play this clip from back in about 2008 of a CNN reporter, Drew Griffin, who couldn't get on a plane. Let's play that clip.
I'm going to Chicago this morning.
Don't think it can happen to you? It's happening to me.
A watch list?
So how did I get on this list? Well, the TSA is adamant it's not even me, even though it is me getting stopped at the airport.
So, you know, they've been keeping people from getting on airplanes. And, of course, the TSA is the Transportation Security Agency, or whatever the SA. I mean, I've seen so many different acronyms that are more accurate than that. But they're concerned not with just air travel. They're concerned with all transportation. And let me tell you, think about it when you go to the airport. Are you concerned that they're not going to let you on a plane? Are you concerned enough that you will go through and let them put their hands on you, subject you to x-rays so that you can then be rewarded with plane travel? It is a very important tool for them to be able to control your transportation. And it basically put you under house arrest if they don't like who you are. I think this is a very dangerous thing, Paul, and it's something that people don't realize how pervasive this is going to be once the government starts controlling the cars electronically. What they're presuming to do is have Wi-Fi or some other wireless technology that is essentially going to track and control the cars. But of course, they tell us, don't worry, we're going to get rid of traffic jams for you, and it'll be so much safer. That's the way they're selling it.
Yeah, and that's a UK government proposal by Ofcom. They're now saying within 10 years they're going to try and set up this system whereby they can remotely control your car, limit its speed in order to reduce traffic congestion and solve global warming. So again, it's the government remotely controlling your car. It's a surveillance nightmare.
But they won't tell you that it's really going to restrict all of your movement in a way that we've never imagined. Stay with us. We're going to be right back with Paul Joseph Watson.
Worried about getting sick and feeling terrible for days or even weeks? You need Immudyne for a healthy immune system. Why get sick and bother with products that just don't work? For just $1 a day, Immudyne is all natural and safe for all lifestyles. Call 866-257-8668 to buy now before it's too late, before you get sick. Or go to IMMUDYNE.com, Immudyne.com, or call 866-257-8668.
Hey, Boomer! I learned in school today that 60% of our bodies are made of water. Good thing we have the Berkey system. It's the cleanest, best water ever. Mom says it's because the Berkey's filtration system cleans out the bad stuff and leaves only pure, delicious water. I know, right? You love it too. Yeah, I'm thirsty too. Let's go get some. Get Berkey clean water by calling 877-886-3653. That's 877-886-3653. Or visit goberkey.com.
Did you know by age 50, half of all men have an enlarged prostate? This means more urges to urinate, longer bathroom trips, waking at night to urinate, or issues with sex. If this sounds familiar, call us now, because we're shipping free bottles of Super Beta Prostate to listeners of this station. Super Beta Prostate is a non-prescription formula guaranteed to reduce the symptoms of your enlarged prostate. It's yours free. Pay only shipping and handling. Just call 1-800-852-1820. In clinical trials, the ingredient in Super Beta Prostate was shown to reduce urges to urinate, improve bladder emptying, reduce waking at night to urinate, and improve quality of life. This Super Beta Prostate free offer is for listeners of this station, but it won't last. Don't wait. Just call 1-800-852-1820. That's 1-800-852-1820. Call 1-800-852-1820.
Hi, folks. Alex Jones here with some important information. I want to tell you about Matt Redhawk and his team of patriots over at My Patriot Supply. Several years ago, Matt was sitting in his two-bedroom apartment, frustrated with the direction this country was headed and the charlatans willing to sell us out for a quick buck. Deciding to take action, a company run by patriots for patriots was born. My Patriot Supply has never taken a loan or accepted outside funding. They now operate 2 distribution facilities and employ over 50 hardworking American men and women. It is rare to find companies who practice what they preach. And that's why I stock my pantry with high-quality storable foods from My Patriot Supply. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Alex today for special offers on emergency food storage, or call their preparedness specialist at 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Do business with someone who shares your values. mypatriotsupply.com/Alex.
Don't want no shackles on me.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, your host today, and I have Paul Joseph Watson joining me from the UK. We've been talking about not only the article that he's got today about George Soros, at the same time that in Davos they're talking about how they need to have a backup plan, essentially a hedging their bets that society isn't going to break down. At the same time, they're also fomenting unrest by putting billboards up to foment that kind of unrest in Ferguson. But we're also talking about how they may try to actually pull this back, certainly how the government is going to try to control our movement. It's going to go far beyond what we have seen up to this point at the airports. Of course, we've seen the Viper teams that have gone out on the roadways to harass people, to inspect them. We're going to have the government, however, remotely controlling your cars, deciding when you can travel, where you can travel, and they're going to be tracking you completely. A very, very harrowing thing to contemplate, Paul. One of the things when I look at this, and of course they're selling this as part of the Internet of Things, something that David Petraeus was talking about years ago, the fact that appliances in your house that are computerized can be used as a listening device for the CIA and others who are prone to do that sort of thing. But of course, it presents a lot of security issues, and I see people talking about the use of this in transportation mode. They say, well, the Internet of Things is not as secure as the Internet. And it's like, ooh, wait a minute. The Internet's not at all secure, and you're pushing something on me that has less security than that? What are your comments about that?
Well, the FTC came out this week and said that it was vulnerable to hackers. So even the US government admits that the Internet of Things is wide open for abuse. As he said, Petraeus, the former CIA director, hailed the Internet of Things as a transformational boon for clandestine tradecraft, which basically means spying on everybody. The problem, and this is why we need to educate young people on this, because the people who are children and teenagers now are going to be growing up in this world, they're going to be under this kind of system, is that they have no frame of reference. They didn't grow up in a society before the internet or before mass surveillance. So I've got friends in their early 20s who, for example, can't even remember dial-up internet. So they literally got no frame of reference for how things were before. So they've been inoculated that this is how it's always been and this is completely normal. And then you had a speaker at Davos last week who got up on stage and said, quote, "People often behave better when they have the sense that their actions are being watched."
Yeah.
Invoking, O'Brien out of Orwell's 1984.
Absolutely.
So it's this whole idea that constant surveillance, constantly being watched is the norm, that it's always been the norm, and that to protest against it is futile, and this idea that young people are willing to trade privacy for convenience, which at the moment it seems that they are, and this is why we need to educate young people on the fact that it's not always been this way. The threat that this could pose in terms of hacking and shifting that balance of power over to the government where they're always being watched.
Very concerning, because I see the schools today as quite literally being a prison. I mean, I jokingly referred to it as that when I was in high school because I felt so confined, so restricted by it, so regimented. But today they actually have metal detectors and police walking the halls, and they're getting quite rough with the students. This is the way that they're conditioning them to live. Julian Assange, in terms of talking about Barrett Brown's charges against him, he said social media has all of your friends wearing a wire, and the other part of that is that they're going to twist things that you say, take them out of context, and come after you. It's just a really Orwellian society that we're growing up, these kids are growing up in, Paul.
Yeah, and I mean, the iPhone, for example, Snowden came out with another story about that. Most people don't know that every location you visit, unless you go in and physically turn off this feature,
coming up to break, can you?
On the
All right, we'll be right back.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Year after year, we watch the threats steadily increase. And now, this winter has been the worst on record when it comes to our immune systems and health. For more than 2 years, InfoWarsLife.com has been watching this crisis intensify, and Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Complex was our answer. Using a proprietary process that takes ancient proven herbs and combines them with modern science, this powerful and affordable formula contains more than 14 key herbs and extracts, including echinacea, ginger root, elderberry, golden seal root, a proprietary yin chio formula, and many, many more. I take it, and so does my family. It's made in the USA, gluten-free, alcohol-free, no artificial flavors or colors, and not tested on animals. Take advantage of this introductory offer for Ancient Defense, normally $19.95, now only $14.95. That's 25% off. Visit InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139 to secure your Ancient Defense.